mapping, we'll go back to, I'm just going to go to the basic search and clear out. You can search for whatever property you want to search for. You don't have to follow along with where I'm going, and I'm not even sure where I'm going to go.
Not good.
Yeah, I'll go to Monticello.
Not all of the travel.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to Monticello. I could have just clicked on something, but we'll all have the same options when we go there. But you'll want to. I probably picked a bad one. You'll want one with a lot of parcels around it, like neighboring parcels and stuff. Yeah, I guess I can do that. So I'm going to just map a parcel. And so we mapped that, and everybody's got their parcel up. This one actually is good because I want to show you the city as well. As you can see, it brings up, in this case, this was an odd-shaped parcel, so it's hard to tell that it's selecting just one parcel. But over here, you can see that here is the one parcel that we have selected. If I had said map all with that on the previous screen, there'd actually be another record listed here, and only one would be selected as selected over here. I'll start off by showing how you can select other things by kind of mimicking that option right now, and that is, this is the select features option right here. And when I click that, that's how I can change the focus of what I'm doing. I can also draw like a box and select multiple ones in there.
You can also hold, I think, is it Shift key and then individually click too, if you knew specific ones around that area.
So like if I'm doing, I clicked on that one, then I hold down Shift, and it does another one, and another one. And clicking over here will change which one is the bold one, the one that is the selected one. So that was just, I wanted to show you right there, that's one of the ways. And you had asked how you select more than other ones. And then by clicking over here in this little drop down here, the information box down here changes. So I have 3 selected, and then I have an additional, of those 3, one of them is selected to see the information and be highlighted even more intensely on the map. So that, I kind of jumped ahead, but I wanted to get to that right there. Looking at the whole map, when we bring the map up, it brings it up to a zoom level that is usually a little bit, this one, because it's so big, the zoom level's out a little more, but if you have a smaller parcel, it's going to fill that parcel to the frame, or fill the frame with that parcel. Speaking of the frames, there are 3 kind of box-like frames here: the map, this selection area, and then this parcel info area. Each one of these is separated here and can be rescaled, so that if you wanted to see more or less info, you just you'll see the arrows change. You can change how you organize these things. On a square screen like this, it's not as impressive, but if you have a more landscape-oriented monitor, you might want to stretch out the map more or get more information. So it allows you to kind of customize your view area here. When you first come to the map, it uses this general GIS-Web map right here. But you'll see there are some tabs right behind here that are also available to you. So if you click on zoning, it's going to keep your current zoom, and it's going to change the overlay or underlay. I should probably change my zoom here because I think we're not zoomed in enough.
And layers will turn on and off as you zoom in and out, which is probably what's going on, because like say you're zoomed out to the whole county, you wouldn't want all the buildings on because you couldn't see them, they'd be so tiny. And so it's kind of been deemed what levels things should show up or turn off.
So in this case, this is the zoning layer. It has all the different zonings on it. If I switch back to the basic map, you'll see the zoning turns off. If I clicked on the stormwater, it's going to have stormwater information on there. Yes?
The zoning key, is that somewhere on here? You know,
Yeah, that's under the legend. I'll show you over here is the legends tab over the side. So if we do zoning, and then we go over to, whoops, to legend over here. It's not, it doesn't pop out obvious at you, but you'd have to come over here and look at the zoning over here, which is under, where is it?
Way down at the bottom.
Let's see.
Like a,
Oh, yeah, there it is. And then you do the zoning classifications
Yes.
here, and that's where it has all the information. That's probably, I'm going out on a limb here and saying that's probably one of the things that would be handled with a revamp of the GIS-Web, something that would have a little bit more obvious display of the legend when you switch map types. So, let me see, I jumped ahead to the legend here. So you have the different tabs here. Stormwater is a different type of tab. Right now, these serve a particular purpose that someone had needed a map that was of a common use. So that's why we have those up there. It basically goes and does, it's a quick way of doing something that I'm about to show you, which is how to change items in the legend on your own. So I'll get to that in a second, but I wanted to show you, for the most part, when most people use the GIS-Web, they're going to use it with this basic map view, the way it comes up. And then the critical resource plan shows kind of the topography and the different slope, some of the planning layers for dealing with the land shape. Next, let me see, I'll show you. I showed you already how to do that selection set using this select features button, but also the buttons right below it are additional ones that do selections. So in this case, if you click that one, it's going to select all the different parcels, all the parcels that show up on this view on my screen. And it's still thinking. You can see over here it's got this little faint clock that's ticking away over here in the corner of the screen, in addition to the cursor being occupied. That shows that it's thinking, and now it's done. So it's selected everything in this screen, in this view, which happens to be 643 parcels, and you can see that right here, 643. That was a big set to select. Part of the reason it took a while to do that. But that's one of the things that you might want to do. Generally, probably selecting all in the view is more of a rough search, because it's selecting this little one over here that I might have even forgotten is in view. So it gets you the parcels that are there, but it might not be exactly what you're looking for, which is why using the actual select features to click around and select things, or using the searches, can be more specific for your needs. So now I've selected 643 of these, and I don't want to select them. I can just click this button here, which is the clear selection, and it will unselect everything, and it'll start with so I have a blank map, nothing selected, and nothing's listed in my selection here. It's just taking a second for the map screen to show up, but you can see that the selection box has already quickly updated that. From that selection set, I mentioned before that you would be able to do things like mailing labels and exports from there. When you have something selected, which I'll do right now, just a couple things selected, you'll see it says 6 selected, and it's selected the 6 there. I can do the same thing that Elise did off of the basic search screen, and that is our basic results screen, and that is to create mailing labels. This one actually allows more customization, although it looks like we have one choice. It's more just telling you what it is. So there's the number that we were talking about, 5160 Avery is the label of that, and we have this set up like that. So you can generate sheets of labels again. This one, you're generating it from the picks that you did or the selections you did straight from the map. So it might be a little more targeted. In the advanced class, we'll be showing you more of this. I said on the quick reference that it's kind of advanced selection features. This series of boxes is pretty powerful and allows you to select things like how far away something is from a road, whether it's a certain distance from a feature. So like all parcels that are 5 miles from Seminole Trail, from distance from Seminole Trail or something, and it'll select all those, and then you might make a labels or export that. So that will be going over in the advanced class, but just wanted to point that's there.
On the right-hand side, I just noticed it says total acres 21 something something, 13.6 as of January 1st. What does that mean?
Transfer. Sold off part of it.
So this ownership is that they only bought 13 acres of the 21 under Costco, and the rest of it is still owned by somebody else. Okay, cool. Thank you.
See, it's good having
Good
real
to
estate in the
Yeah.
house. So you could export the mailing labels or just spreadsheet. And that the export to spreadsheet is just going to actually put it out as an Excel file in this case.
Does it put only the mailing label or the
whole
extraction?
The whole record, the whole part. Maybe just that part. Let's find out. Let's do it. Should do it. It does the same basic information it did before with the last total acres, total value, last sale, and subdivision. So.
And that just becomes a mail version.
Yeah, this so it's there right there. This gives a little bit more. The other one gives the labels. All right. So next to the selection tab. So that's the selection. Well, there's more to this tab, but that's kind of the meat of the advanced class.
Could you take us through how you would do 5 miles surrounding
Owensville
Fire Company, for example?
I can show you. Yeah, you're selecting or find all, and this way we're saying parcels. You can do roads or public notice signs. It reads this way, like select parcels, and then select.
But it's based upon whatever you're looking at in the map. You have to get that first?
Yes,
Okay,
because right here it says find all parcels adjacent to the selected parcels, and there it just did it. So you're creating a statement that goes from here. It reads across, right, left to right, then down, and then you say that are 10 acres or greater.
Okay.
So it's a little limited, but there's a bunch of different statements in here that you can switch up to find out and limit your search. So.
Thank you.
Sure. And then just get that. So, just wanted to show the Legends tab. This Legends tab lists all the layers that we have available for people to view on the GIS-Web. In this case, we're logged in, so it has those extra layers available to us.
If you go to parcels, it should show the extra.
Yeah.
Parcel info.
Right.
End of your parcel. So like one of the layers is end of your parcels. If you're just on the web anywhere, you're just going to see the current parcels. If you want to go back and see the history of how parcels have changed over time, you could log in and then it would give you a list of the parcel boundaries for each of those years.
So,
I can't think of other ones at the moment that are restricted, but.
So going in here and you've got a lot of power to change and display all kinds of stuff, but it also means that you can make a pretty confusing and busy map. So use it with caution. That's why we have a lot of the preset stuff up here. But if you start with the basic map and put some additional things on, it can help, like looking at element. Whoops. click that yet. Elementary school districts. And I see that, then you click refresh. It'll refresh the map, and in this case, it put the line on there. With the parcels on there, it gets kind of confusing because there's a lot of information on there. And so what I normally do is...
It's hard to see. It's in the upper right, and it says Agner Hurt.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell.
It's hard to tell on this screen because it matches the same color here. I'll do a middle school district instead because I think it does that in green. And the reason we have the clicking of the refresh map button is because you can do several different, you can click several different things and then refresh it all at once instead of waiting for each one to refresh. So you can see here the big green line showed up as the middle school boundary, and here's Burley. If I turned off the parcel labels, which is what I might want to do, when I do that, things should be a little bit easier to see because this is a busy area with lots of parcel IDs all over the map.
Is it showing double? Oh, or end of your parcels? I think it's labeling all of them.
I didn't.
Maybe?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't realize I had turned them on.
I didn't realize it labeled them.
Neither did I. We've got all kinds of labels.
Oh,
I think I turned on some other layers inadvertently. But so you see here the middle school shows up, and so you can do that with lots of different information. We have our voting precincts on there. So I'm turning off the middle school, turning on the voting precincts, and you can see which one. You can turn on the polling places. This right now is a way that someone could see where their precinct and polling place is. We're probably going to work on a way to better, more easily just target for that because going this way is not the easiest route and not really the purpose of this site. This site is more for getting information relating to the real estate information and some other information, maybe some critical resource information, but it's not necessarily a quick find for who's my supervisor and where do I go to vote kind of thing.
But is this resource the back end for what the Board of Elections website does, where you can put in your address and it tells you all that information? Or do they have a whole different set of
they have their own at the state level because that's where it's fed up by the county and municipality levels, but they're validating on a state level voter database. So that's the legend for all the different ones. Whoa. Is this what she said?
I don't know.
She said go for the first one.
Yeah. Maybe.
Change the colors. Ooh, I don't know. How about that option?
Hey.
Now it's going to explode.
Do you go over pluses?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do right now. So you've got a lot of different options here, and when we first came in here, I just started clicking away at things. These little pluses next to each one are the things that expand each one of these groupings. So when you first get to the Legend tab, this shows up, and if you want to see elevation, under elevation, there are several different options for different years, different contour intervals. And so if you want to see the most recent one, you have even more options because the contour intervals display better at different zoom levels. So in this case, you might want to look at the 2 foot and you then refresh the map. It'll put the 2 foot contours on.
And if you check that main box, like if you just check next to elevation and you never hit that plus, it would check all of those and put all of them on the map all at the same time.
Yes.
And you might not ever know it if you didn't hit that plus to expand it and see that you had all those turned on, and you might be like, this looks terrible. But you actually have like 50 layers on.
Yeah, this one's combining all these different layers are on right here. And so that would be the difference on that one. And if you wanted to know information about any particular layer on here, in this case, you can go back to elevation. these 2013 elevation contours, the link in blue, if I click on that, it takes us to the metadata, the data about this data, and it gives all the information about what the precision is. It might have some information about where the data was obtained, whether it's our data or someone else's data, and some links, usually on how to get more information about that particular data source. So that's an important part of documentation and sourcing if somebody has a question about that.
And it'll also tell you, like, for zoning and stuff, it'll go in and say R1 is such and such, you know, neighborhood model district is such and such. So we'll get questions sometimes with that. And, you know, I'm not a planner, so I don't necessarily work with that, so I don't know what the different things mean, but you can go in there and if you click on, you can click on the individual names and then that's what you're allowed to build or not build. I think it takes you to the code.
So some of these links go pretty deep to help you identify what you're looking at, so it doesn't just dead end at R2, residential. Well, what does that mean? Let's see, and like I said, the refresh map, so far I think I turned a whole bunch of layers off and on and then hit refresh. So if I do this, nothing happens until I hit the refresh button. So, let's see, so another thing I would like to show now that we're kind of in the city here, and I'm going to, I wonder if I can't do that there. I'm always curious if I do this. Switch back. Just thought I'd play with that and see if it switches everything, but it doesn't. I'm going to turn this elevation off just so we can see more easily. The city right here, we don't have, oops, I didn't want to do that. We don't have information other than some basic, some of their basic data in there from the city, and we don't want to represent that we have. We don't want to be the ones to convey their information because they are the authoritative source on this. So when you get to the city boundary, it tells you it's the city of Charlottesville, and that to use the identify tool to launch the city's GIS viewer. That was one thing I should show you too, is the identify. So
Would you like to make the tools and all that?
yeah. So if you use the identify tool in the general area of the county, it's going to bring up the information again, just like it is over here. It'll bring up that information on here. Things are loading a little slow, but
you can also hover too. It's not going to be as much information as this window, but you can just hover over the parcels in the map window and it'll give you the owner name. I don't think it gives you anything else, but parcel ID.
It just took a while. The map is running a little slow over here. I'm not sure why, but this gives the information just like it does over here, but it's just it's kind of another way. This is if you've selected the parcel, but if you're not necessarily ready to select that parcel, you just want to get info, there are kind of varying degrees of ways you can do it, and that is what Elise said, you can hover over it. So I'm hovering over this parcel and it tells me what the parcel ID is and what the name is of the person.
Where do you turn on that feature again? Identity something?
Up here is the identify button.
Ah, okay.
And then as you hover over an area or parcel, it'll show you who the owner is. And then that might help you narrow what you want to do, and then you say, oh, that's the one I want the info on. And it brings up the info in the same manner that it would have if you had selected it. And then you can click more info to get that screen that Elise had shown before where it has the depth of the full information. So using that same identify button, when you click on the city for that one, it brings up the same way it identifies on it, but it tells you that that's in the city of Charlottesville, and it gives you a link to the city's GIS to start their process. And you do that, and you go into their site, and it's going to just start it up the generic site. It's not going to take you to where you clicked in the city. It's just going to take you up to how you use their site. But we're not training on their site. Their site's easy to use. But that's a good thing for if you forget what the city's link is or whatever. All you have to do is click on the city with the identify button. So now I've moved into this realm over here. I've been zooming in and out of the map. Mostly I've been using the scroll wheel by scrolling in and out. But if the mouse doesn't have a scroll wheel, or if that's not precise enough, this little magnify plus button over here allows you to select by creating a bounding box. So if I wanted to zoom into this area right here, I might click and hold and then make kind of a selection box there. And then when I release, it's going to zoom in to that area and refine. Another way is with this scrolling bar up here. You can click the plus button or the minus button, or you can slide this bar back and forth to get the desired zoom based on its being centered, or you can click and jump to a different zoom level, and that's going to be a big one. We'll be backed up, yeah. So, and you can see that it turned off the buildings and all those other layers because that would just be too much to draw at that point. So it's only the ones that are made for the further zoom. So now once you get the map view that you'd like, you might want to, you might think that you want to, let me see. You might think that you want to make some measurements or something like that. We've got some measurement tools up here. You can measure an area. So say you're looking at, oh, how big is this area out by the elementary school? You just click around. Oops, I finished it. But, and when you are, it doesn't persist, does it? No, it just gives you a temporary measurement, so you can see what you're measuring, and jot down how many acres or how many square feet that is. You can also do the same with this measure distance.
We have a lot of people that'll like turn the aerial photo on and they want to know how much of their land is field versus trees or something on their property, and they can go in and get a rough idea, that type of thing. So in this section, you can't save any of that stuff or show up on here. One of the things that does persist though is if you want to display coordinates, you just click where you want to put them, and it'll put a little crosshair and give you the coordinates at that point. I wouldn't use that for like parcels or things. We do get people that'll want to use those coordinates, maybe like if they click on the corners of their parcels, they'll have the coordinates. But I mean, it's only as accurate as your mouse and where you're clicking. And
yeah, I think this is more for someone who wants to set a waypoint. We put it on there. It's a simple feature to do. It's probably not as widely used. Somebody might want to use it to record a point and tell us where something is using those locations. So that's how that works. This just erases that markup on the map. So let's say you want to print this map out. You just click on the little printer here, and it's going to make a PDF of it. You only have one option, it's landscape. You can put in a title. Just going to show test for the title. And this, you have two options, to make it the scale of the map window or the width of the map window. Now, those might seem, there's a subtle difference, and it can have not so subtle effects. And that is because what you're showing on your screen, every screen can be a different size and different resolution. So the width, and I could change this window and make it really narrow and all these other things that the screen width and all that is moving independent of the scale of the scale of the map. So and I'll give you an example here. it's easier to see than to talk it through. You can see where we have the edges of our map here. I'm going to say do it the scale of the map window, which is 1 to 200. It just I set it at a very even scale, 1 to 200. Sometimes people want things at a particular scale for measuring off of, or they're giving it to someone and they want to compare it to another known scale. So it might be very important that you have that known scale. Tell it to create it. It's going to create a PDF. And you can see that this one, in this case, did it match up? It might be a bad example.
Oh, it did match up.
It does kind of match up. I'm trying. No, not quite.
Chops off the top.
The
Chops off
top
a
here
little bit.
changed a little bit, and the bottom changed a little bit. What's tricky is I might have to force it. I'll do this. And then if I make this again, now if I do that PDF again, it should be the same scale, because I haven't changed the scale at all, so it looks about the same. But if I were to change it and tell it to do the width of the map window, it should look different. Yeah, so we're zoomed in a lot more because it went straight, and you can see it matches the width of the map window. So my recommendation is if it's important to have a known scale, then you want to use that scale. Do you know if you need to use a known scale? You probably will know because someone will be requesting a specific scale. If you don't, then you probably want to lay it out to how you want it to look in the map window, and then just go with that. Go with the width, because it'll be more accustomed to what you've spent time kind of positioning on the page. So it's just it's a quick way to get a map out, so it doesn't include just printing this, getting all this other stuff from the screen. It focuses just on the map and puts a legend off to the side. Email this page, simply prepares an email and puts a link there, gets it ready for you to send. It says map. So it gets you started, and then you can finish the email. Probably want to change the title to something more interesting than map. But at least if you don't, it says map. So that's all of these tools here. We talked about legend. Location is just a broader locator map throughout within Albemarle. You can see it shows up here, this tiny little red dot is where you are. If I zoom out on the map, this will grow to show exactly the view you're looking at. You can also click within the map to change your view and draw this. You can use this as kind of a way to zoom. So if I knew I wanted to see, most of Crozet, I might zoom over there, and it'll redraw the map, and then you can always refine it from there. So that's what your location map does. And you can zoom, actually. Can you zoom out the location map?
No.
Okay. Markup is the last thing I'm going to talk about here. And we would go, I think we'd go in more detail about this in the advanced class, maybe going into more options of how we do things. But in general, the markup allows you to change the map and put some features on the map that you might want to print out, that you might want to have persist on there. I showed you how to draw that area. Well, that area that's just a kind of a measurement of an area. It's not something you're annotating the map. That didn't zoom the way I thought it would. So here's Crozet Park. Say we want a new annotation, and you're given all of these different markup options here to do. So you can draw a circle, you can draw a polygon. So when you draw a polygon, it now is on the map. I finished that feature, and when I say I want to print it, that's going to be on there. I can add text, I can add X, Y, I can add all kinds of things. I can change the color of what I want to do. So now I'm doing a...
It'll change once you draw. I was confused too. It starts out as the original color, but
Yeah. So now you've got all these other things. You can draw circles. So this is a, you know, a helpful thing for people to add features to the map that we don't have as layers, and keep it as a, you know, a separate piece.
it will be well, we're logged in right now, but say you did this just on the main web page, everyone can see it and it stays up there until you delete it. So if you went there and put all kinds of personal information on there, I could go home and click on it and see what you put on there. So you may want to create it and then delete it, or if you log in and then create it, all of us internal people can see it, but the public can't. So just kind of know in the back of your mind that
and some of these
somewhat out there.
And some of these public-private things are less walls than compartments, because there are, like I said, there are certain layers that we need to see that are not necessary to have in our repository to the public right there. They're certainly available as layers on our download page. It's not saying that we're limiting things, because as far as data goes, all of our data is available to the public. There are no restrictions on our county data from a FOIA standpoint, just so you know that. We don't have any protected layers. There are other entities that have protected layers, but we're not, and we might have access to them, but we do not maintain any layers that are exempt under FOIA. So all of our stuff's available. We're not doing things to prevent access. We're doing things to kind of just empower more access within our internal use. But yeah, that's a good point about all of this. It's what it is this is almost like a community chalkboard. In that sense, we're doing all these things, all of these. We've got all these annotation up there so that people can put it up there, but it is also available for everyone to see, just to keep it simple. We didn't want to maintain everybody logging in and keeping all of their separate annotation. I don't know if we've done it yet, but if it builds up too much, I guess we'd probably go in and just delete it. I would
I think
say
after a year it gets automatically deleted.
Yeah, so I would say
something.
that it's there, but the expectation is not that that it's being stored up there for longevity. All right, I think that's all I had on the map. Was there anything else?
Oh, maybe mobile. Just briefly.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. If you're on a mobile device, there's a little link right here that I'll show you what it's going to do. It's just going to put it. It'll give you a link to the mobile viewer, which won't look that great here. In fact,
So it's basically if you're on your iPhone or your iPad or something, you can do all of this. It's not going to look the same as what we just went over, but
well, it's not working well on the desktop.
yeah, it may not work. But that's what that link was.
So would you go there?
Yes, you would if you were on your phone, you would pull up albemarle.org or GIS-Web.albemarle.org, and then you would click on that little blue mobile link, and then it would bring up the condensed version, I guess. Or
what it does is actually the map fills the screen, and you're basically using the identify stuff. You're not seeing the full results. But if you had a good sized tablet or a tablet, it works on the regular site, so you can do all of this stuff. You should be able to do the multi-touch and all that within the frames using a tablet. It's just on a smaller phone, this layout is too much for that. I said I would show you a link right here. Site last updated on takes you to the help file and tells you when the parcels and all that other stuff you know, so you can see when the last time it updated. Now that's the last time the GIS-Web got data from the other databases. It doesn't indicate that those other databases had any changes occur or actually were updated during that time, because like maybe for other reasons the other databases weren't updated that week. So.
Brent had a
Question.
Yes.
Are you going to touch on pictometry at all?
Oh shoot, yeah. There's just so many things. I forgot about
advanced
this
class,
thing.
Brent.
Yeah, we'll go into more details, but that's what he was. That's what Brent's talking about, and what Elise had when she pointed out those links on the search page or the results page.
The ones on that
the
right hand
info that said
side.
like Bing, Google Maps, and I clicked on that. That was where I was telling you, this is the current view we're looking at here. I can see, say from this drop down, I have all these options here again. So Google Maps, I say go, it's going to take me to that area, and Google Maps. It's using an actual coordinates, and it'll take a second. And then also, yeah, so it's using those coordinates, and it just brings up that same view in Google Maps. So that's might be useful for if you're doing some research, you want to see what Google says about that. Pictometry was the other one that Brent talked about, and this one's exciting. It brings it up in our using pictometry does oblique imagery. It's the imagery from an angle, not straight up and down. And it was we received a bunch of the whole county coverage from a federal grant or a federal project or whatever. But it went the ECC, Emergency Communications Center, and others in the 5th district got this information, and it's when you select the pictometry thing, it loads it in, and actually Brent's one step ahead here. His computer's loaded it up. I don't know why it's asking for a login, but you've got the stuff there. Maybe if you just dismiss it, it'll work. It's never asked me for a login, so I don't know if it's because of these training ones, but it shouldn't matter. But you'll see that for those who actually got it to bring up, you're looking at aerial imagery that's taken on an angle. So you're looking down kind of at the side of the buildings, and that gives you just a different perspective, the perspective that can give you more information about a particular site that you're looking at. And so right up here is the print current image and the image loaded. But when you do this one, export image, it saves it as a JPEG file. And if you save it as a JPEG file, it will, I think it's, if you save it as a JPEG file, you can put it in PowerPoint or a Word document or anything, and it might print better that way. Okay. But I'm pretty sure the print dialog just prints the JPEG. So you have all these images up here. Yeah, these happen to have different overlaps, and we'll go over it more in the advanced class, how they take these images and why there are so many of them. So this is a whole nother kind of map viewer that came along with the pictometry imagery we have, that we don't use this viewer too often. It's the most power or most usefulness that we've found for it is the imagery itself and looking at the imagery, not necessarily using this imagery in conjunction with any of their side features over here. So any questions? We're down to the end here. I rambled on too much. Were there any scenarios or questions that you had tailored to something that you have tried in the past or think you might try in the future or in the present?
Lots of fun coming up in the present. I just
Yeah.
I've only used a minuscule amount of it before, so that's
Yeah.
fun.